I reckon we can start looking through the spells, see what's there, what could be different from the 2014. What is some magical music that we can play while we're... Oh, the magic shop, of course. There we go. This is another part of the PHB that I like. There is more art. I like this. This is nice. This is good. This was a good direction. We can hem and haw or gripe about one illustration or another, but there's a lot more art, and it is doing justice to the book by providing great visual bookmarks and reminders. And there are many pieces, not so much this cover. Again, to me, is this alternate art? Yeah. This doesn't feel very inspiring. We have very indescript people having tea. This doesn't say Dungeons and Dragons to me. Is it fantasy art? Yes. Is it good art? It's not my style. I personally wouldn't commission a piece of art like that. I didn't make the book. Alright, let's see. This chapter gives rules for casting spells. It also includes descriptions of common spells in the worlds of Dungeons and Dragons. Those spells are used by many class features, magic items, and monsters. Hi, Rakus. Did they buff Beastmaster Ranger to be more viable? Yeah. In short, yes, Rakus. Beastmaster Ranger and Way of the Four Elements Monk are in a more generally acceptable, playable state. Alka says it's in line with Tasha's Cauldron of Everything Beastmaster, but also the Ranger base classes. Yeah. So the concept of the Ranger was revised, and I get why. I still feel like it made Ranger more generic, because that was the gripe, is Rangers are too specific. So the concept of a Ranger was made generic and universal, instead of a highly specialized, like a warrior, a fighter, a defender of nature. And also to Lux, thank you for coming over with your raid. Ravenstar, thank you for the shout out to Lux as well. Now, what was going on over in your channel, Lux? What was were you going over information like this? Were you playing a game? This is the Hero Zone is an extension of a friendly local game store. So we go over miniatures and painting. I have some stuff here. So we'll teach painting. This is still a work in progress, so the shading has to get redone here. We go over miniature painting, we go over rules, we go over various systems. This is not just a Dungeons and Dragons channel. I teach and I run multiple games on here to get you all playing other games, to have you weigh them and consider them. And we have a lot of fun along the way. I am not a clickbaiter. I'm not a rage baiter. I'm not a sensationalist. I am a casualty in the culture war, so I'm not going to do any culture war BS. You did a Call of Cthulhu one shot? Heck yeah! Was it an original story that you did, Lux? Last year around Halloween, I ran an original 3-part story in Call of Cthulhu. It was set in Oklahoma in 1935. It was a lot of fun. Can you give us the elevator pitch on it? If you're able. Now, if you're like, dude, I've been broadcasting all night, I have to eat something and go to bed, I understand. But I would love to hear more about your Call of Cthulhu game. Yep. So Lux, and I'm. Well, I will never list this place as a safe space. That's simply because you know it if you know it if you're here. I don't need to tell you something that is obvious. I will challenge people. I will offer other opinions. I might even offer dissent, but it's always going to be done in a very polite way, in a thoughtful way, and in a way that encourages discussion and exploration of an idea. Because I believe in you all. I also want to be challenged by you all. Luxor, you wouldn't believe it. There's people in this chat right now that actually like the cover of this book. It's taking everything I have not to ban them out of my channel because it hurts my fragile, shallow ego. Okay? I'm trying to be the big man here. I'm falling apart at the seams, Lux. You don't know the abuses I'm getting from my chat. Blue Joy, I'm just trying to alienate my customer base. That's what all the big companies are doing these days. I figure that's what I have to do to try and compete and keep up. So if I'm not disenfranchising and alienating you all, am I even trying in this business? It was the 100th birthday for Elias Winsborough, which was actually a ploy to get people into the banquet hall for a mass sacrifice, and then the crew had to escape through levels of the mansion based off the 4 horsemen. Lux. Lux. I want you to hit this rock and it's going to explode in 3, 2, 1. Lux, that sounds amazing. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for running a Call of Cthulhu game. Absolutely. Thank you for that. I hope your players enjoyed it and your audience enjoyed it. And thank you for coming over here to go through the player's handbook and just to have that friendly local game store experience. Zullerpie, I agree with you there. Rakus says RPGs usually don't tell safe stories. I mean, hell, we usually play Rifts with my group. Rifts is that's an interesting system. Yep, post-stream care. Lux, thank you for coming over. Do your thing. Hopefully we'll see you again. And thank you for sharing your community and for sharing that elevator pitch of your story with us. Much love to you, and we'll see you again around the Hero Zone. Alright, if you have a list of level 1+ spells you prepare, your spellcasting feature specifies when you can change the list. If I had a gripe, again, it was aspects of this. That being said, because they are all so shifty and modular, this is also good to include, and I can appreciate this as well. Most spellcasting monsters don't change their list of prepared spells, but the DM is free to alter them. Certain features, yeah, there's that. Casting an armor, you must have training with any armor you are wearing to cast spells while wearing it. You are otherwise too hampered by the armor for spellcasting. Each spell description has a series of entries that provide the details needed to cast the spell. The following sections explain each of those entries, which follow the spell's name. Yep, that makes sense. Spell level, spell slots. Got it. We have our 8 schools of magic. This was good that for each of the classes that have spells, the lists were also put in the class descriptions. That was good. That was good. One spell with a spell slot per turn. Ranges, components, verbal, somatic, material. If you'd like to say a spell's verbal component, you may make up the words. However, you make them, the goal is to create something that's easy to say that doesn't mean anything in the real world. Consider this method like, take the name of the spell, keep only one instance of each of its letters and rearrange the remaining letters into words. For example, remove the second L from fireball and rearrange the remaining letters to create Berfila or Felbira. I remember this. You make a comeback in this book too to explain these shapes to people. Look at that. Wizards of the Coast recycling art. 2 out of 10. Can't recommend the book. Are they even trying, guys? I mean, come on. Wah, wah. Identifying a spell. There we go. Nice little note about that. Oh, you know what? Hold on, everyone. There is something that we can do. we can do a little compare and contrast. Actually, I should probably put this one on. Now, why is my Pahubba this way? Why is my Pahubba? One moment. All right. So if we do want to compare things, so for example, Acid Splash, Evocation Cantrip, it's now an Evocation Cantrip instead of a Conjuration. Action instead of one action, 60 feet, Verbal Somatic, instantaneous. You create an acidic bubble at a point within range where it explodes in a 5-foot radius sphere. Each creature in that sphere must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or take 1d6 acid damage. You hurl a bubble of acid. Choose one creature within range or choose 2 creatures within range that are within 5 feet of each other. Target must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or take 1d6 acid damage. Cantrip upgrade. Damage increases by 1d6 when you reach levels 5, 11, 17. So it scales the same, slightly different verbiage, and it was changed into Evocation from Conjuration. Maladroit Gamer, forgive my ignorance, been a D&D lover since I was a kid 40 years ago, but haven't played in quite a while. Are we looking at a new edition? This is the new old edition. This is 5.5 or 5th edition Essentials or 5th edition Revised or Advanced 5th edition, whatever you want to call it. This is 10 years after 5th edition was released, and this is taking the spirit and mechanics of 5th edition and polishing it through 10 years of a lot of books that have come out. This is backwards compatible. Though what's in here, I would say, is more adaptable or more flexible than what you're seeing here in than what you're seeing over here in the 2014 book. Yeah, similar to from 3 to 3.5. That's what you're seeing here. Sierra Echo, any changes to the multi-classing rules in the new version? Okay, so I will look up specific spells if you want. You had a particular question about multi-classing. So in the old book, that's chapter 6. Alright, multi-classing allows you to gain levels in multiple classes. With this rule, you have the option of gaining a level in a new class whenever you advance in level instead of gaining a level in your current class. Doing so lets you mix the abilities of those classes to realize a character concept that might not be reflected in a single class. To qualify for a new class, you must have a score of at least 13 in the primary ability of the new class and your current classes. For example, a barbarian who decides to multi-class into the druid class must have strength and wisdom scores of 13 or higher, since strength is the primary ability for barbarian and wisdom is the primary ability for druids. Experience points to gain a level is based on your total character level. I don't play with experience points, so this is meaningless to me. To me, maybe not to all of you out there. You gain the hit points from your new class as described. Add together the hit dice granted by all your classes to form your pool of hit dice. If these dice are the same die type, you can pool them together. For example, both the fighter and paladin have a d10 hit die, so if you're level 5 fighter, level 5 paladin, you have 10 d10 hit dice. If your classes give you hit dice of different types, track them separately. So that's the same. Proficiency bonus. Your proficiency bonus is based on your total character level. That's the same, yeah. Proficiencies, when you gain your first level in a class other than your initial class, you gain only some of the new classes' starting proficiencies as detailed in the class's description in Chapter 3. Notes on armor class, yeah, about stacking things. Extra attack. If you gain the extra attack feature from more than one class, they don't stack. Yep, that's the same. Your capacity for spellcasting depends partly on your combined levels of all your spellcasting classes, and partly on your individual levels in those classes. Once you have the spellcasting feature from more than one class, use the rules below. That seems the same. You still have full casters, half casters, and third casters. You do the same thing for that chart. So the chart that's here for multi-classing proficiencies and the prerequisites are now going to be in each of the classes, which is so we had passed over those in our review. As a multi-class character, gain the following traits from the core bard trait table Hit point die, proficiency in one skill, proficiency with one musical instrument of your choice, and training with light armor. And this is telling you that the primary ability is charisma, and you see that over here. Charisma needs to be 13. Still for a bard. And bards get light armor, one skill, one musical instrument. One skill, one musical instrument. This is also training with light armor. Oh yeah, so yeah, that's over here as well. So that's a lot of that is the same. I haven't looked at all of them to compare, but at least with the example of the bard, here you go. Maladroit says, funny enough, I am on that still. I'm one that still prefers second ed, simply because it gave a lot more to the DM in terms of how things happen. I understand the new editions provide a lot of clarity, and it's great to get into if you've never played before. But I still like an older style with the DM deciding the outcome of those things. Yeah, so there's a lot that is empowering the player. You know, a lot of neat tricks. There's really no, you don't run into dead levels in this edition much at all, if any time. Is there ever really a dead level where, oh, I get hit points. Okay, well, let's keep going for another couple months and maybe I'll get something more than that. The revision that you're seeing here makes even though there's still bards, there's still valor and lore bards in this version. There's valor and lore here, but what you're seeing with this revision is that there's a lot more there's a lot more flexibility, swapping out of spells, a lot more versatility to things, so that the characters have a lot more universal use, or maybe that might be the way to put it. There's a lot more universality, a lot more I think just leaving it at that notion, which isn't inherently bad. At the same time, there's a lot less, I don't know, I feel a lot less risk, because you're not locked into a cantrip, because you can't just change it overnight. So how do you cleverly go around it? How do you make use of what you have? How do you have these roleplay situations where you have characters with flaws and shortcomings, instead of being able to take a nap and wake up and now you have all the things that you need anytime that you need it? I guess character freedom, I suppose. A lot more character flexibility, I think, would be a better way of saying that, Maladroit. Character flexibility. Power increases enough that using most 2014 versus similar 2014. It's not a hard power difference. The power difference comes, in my opinion, because there's more ribbons, there's more kind of fluffy, fun stuff that's there, and added with the adaptability where everything can just shift and you're not really tied to your choices, because you're not really making choices. You're slotting what's optimal. I guess this is a better care op. This is a better care op builder, even though a lot of the character powers have been not neutered, but I guess made more similar. More samey. Good morning to you, Tony. Sorry, go up. Bluejoy had a question. Also, what a Bane. It was messy to try and use them both. There's a thing I saw at the Wild Heart Barbarian, level 3 and level 4. The two features are worded in such a way that it sounds like you can use both at the same time. That'd be broken. Your thoughts? Yeah, let's go to the Barbarian real quick and let's check it out. The Wild Heart. I have World Tree. I have Zealot. Ah, here we go. Here's Wild Heart. Oh, this was replacing Totem. Probably because you're not allowed to say that word anymore or something. I don't know. There's a lot of corporate culture versus very very insular, geographically locked culture versus everyone who doesn't live there or work there. Oh, rip to you, Sierra Echo, on that ruin. Oh, how's that hitting close to home for you, Sierra, if you're at liberty of talking about it? Is it easier to min-max? I wouldn't say min-max Black Wolf, but it's easier to always have an optimal character for the situation. Alright, 3 and 14. Animal Speaker. You can cast the Beast Sense and speak with animal spells, but only as rituals. Wisdom is your spell casting ability for them. 14. Whenever you activate your rage, you gain one of the following options of your choice. Falcon, while your rage is active, you have a fly speed equal to your speed if you aren't wearing any armor. Lion, while your rage is active, any of your enemies within 5 feet of you have disadvantage on attack rolls against targets other than you or another barbarian who has this option active. Or Ram, while your rage is active, you can cause a large or smaller creature to have the prone condition when you hit it with a melee attack. Oh, level 6? The two ones that proc off of rage. Dark vision, you have climb speed. You gain one of the following options of your choice whenever you finish a long rest. You can change your choice. This is the verbiage of what I mean. You're not really locked into anything. Your character can always be what it needs to be in the situation. Which, I'm not sounding like a grumpy old man saying, it does take some of the drama and cleverness out of problem solving, because the problem is, oh, I'm going to rest and then I'm going to wake up and be able to do exactly what I need. There's no shortcomings to, there's no flaws. In fact, character flaws are removed from character creation. Which I don't like that, but... ones that proc off rage. I'm gonna rest and wake up being eaten by a monster, yeah. Oh, okay, yeah, so... So is your question, do you get, like, do you get your, to combo Like, can you be a bear falcon? Like, do you become like this bear falcon totem barbarian because you get both? Or is your question, do you only get one or the other? Because it seems like you would get both. So when you rage at level 3, whenever you activate rage, you gain one of the following options. So you get one of these options. Then when you hit 14, not only do you get to activate your Rage of the Wild, whenever you activate Rage, you gain one of the following options of your choice. Then you choose your Power of the Wild. Especially because this doesn't say otherwise that one supersedes the other. Or that it gets added to a pool of choices so it's only one. Well, you don't want to be an eagle falcon? Or a wolf ram? Well, keep in mind that while level 14 isn't epic level yet, that starts at 17, 14 is still post-end game for most groups. Most D&D games go from level 1 to 10 and that's it. So if you can do level 14 stuff, you are already at an exceptional power level for the continent that you're on. Generically speaking, maybe in your world, level 14 is like, oh yeah, like most high-ranking officers in my military are level 14. Okay, well then in that case, there's a lot of people who can do this, and so it's known and expected, and the knowledge doesn't seem quite as it's hitting as hard. But 14 is still powerful. It might not hurt. It might not hurt to sit down and I guess list the abilities next to each other for consideration. If you put them on a spreadsheet, because Blue Joy, that might not be a bad exercise to do, is to put these in a spreadsheet and put them next to each other and scroll through, not just all the barbarian ones, because of course the barbarians are gonna have their sub-job or their subclass abilities at the same levels. But why don't you put a level 14 Power of the Wilds against a what else had a 14? Fighter had a 15. What are my Paladins? All right, my Paladins. No, that's core. Although you can compare core. You can compare a core class trait. It being subclass doesn't make it more powerful. It just makes it more flavorful. So in this case, a level 14 Paladin. When you use lay on hands on a creature, you can remove one or more of the following conditions. Blinded, charmed, deafened, frightened, paralyzed, or stunned. You must expend 5 hit points for each of the conditions you remove. They don't restore hit points. So at level 14, a Paladin can fill you with holy butter and remove a great many afflictions, in addition to all of the other stuff that can happen before this. Or, if you're a barbarian, you can do everything before, but in addition to this, you can also get a fly speed if you're not wearing armor. So you're just naked and you're flapping in the breeze. Hey, Coffee Cat. Which by level 14, I mean, this gives a barbarian a fly speed, so there's that without needing magic cast on you. But your casters are already casting the fly spell by now, and that fly speed is 60 instead of whatever your speed is. Or at level 14, while your rage is active, any enemies within 5 feet of you have disadvantage on attack rolls against targets other than you or another barbarian. So I think compared to removing debilitating status conditions, these aren't bad. The fly speed is whatever. If you don't like it as a DM, I don't know, replace it with something else. But this is supposed to keep up because there's other flying. Again, to make the classes more samey, you see bands rolling through them to take on the frightened condition, the charm condition, flying, and some sort of teleportation or forced movement abilities that are spread out throughout the classes and subclasses. While your rage is active, you can cause a large or smaller creature to have the prone condition when you hit it with a melee attack. This isn't bad. Now, this isn't going to knock over dragons. I mean, you're not using this against a flying creature. So, it is an automatic prone, but that doesn't mean that the next hit is a... I don't believe the next hit is automatically a crit. I'd have to... we can double check it. So when comparing, 14 here to 14 here, it doesn't seem that bad. What about, what do we get at level 14? What do rangers get? Nature's Veil. You invoke spirits of nature to magically hide yourself. As a bonus action, you can give yourself the invisible condition until the end of your next turn. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier, minimum once, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. So you can bonus action invisible as a ranger at 14. And this isn't even saying that you have to be in shrubs or fog. This is just saying, you can get a turn of invisibility as a ranger. What else happens at level 14? Devious strikes on a rogue. You've practiced new ways to use your sneak attack deviously. The following effects are now among your cunning strike options. So you can sacrifice 2d6 from your sneak attack. Target must succeed on a con saving throw or on its next turn. It can do only one of the following: move or take an action or bonus action. You can knock out for 6d6. Must succeed on a con saving throw, or it has the unconscious condition for 1 minute. That arguably is probably worse than the prone. Now the barbarian is striking, so you're dealing damage and knocking prone. This is you have all your hit points left, and it goes down. And this for sure, you're getting in those freebie crits. Or obscure for 3d6. The target must succeed on a dex saving throw, or it has the blinded condition until the end of its next turn. So if we're comparing across the board, if we're not looking at 2014, it does seem like a lot. You have more options in 2014, and you can swap them. You get lists to choose from for all this stuff. So that's why it's kind of spectacle creep, because there's a lot of ribbons, a lot of fun extra gimmies, but that also combines to a point where because nothing is anything, because your spell list is whatever, or this is a generality, whatever, you know what I'm saying. It causes a soft power creep in the 2024 edition. It's not a hard power creep, but because you have more options and you can swap between those options more often, you are at more times than not more optimal for any particular universal condition that comes by. So therefore, the ceiling hasn't come down, but the floor has been raised to the point where there's not a lot of wiggle room. If that makes sense. So everyone is more powerful because of that floor increasing. And there might be little spikes up here. Not to crush you, but there might be spikes in power. Nothing has jumped out at me as this is glaringly broken. Not like one of the early Artificer Unearthed Arcana builds, where you are invincible Iron Man, and it was so over the top, egregiously broken, just from a simple read through. Hey DQ, good to see you. Shouldn't a skill like that have some requirement of location or condition? Otherwise, it's simply an invisibility. Yeah. So Maladroit, that's part of the gripe, and like especially with Rangers, because many people thought that Rangers weren't as powerful in the 2014 edition. They were powerful. They were more tied to the lands or the creatures that they specialized in. But because that wasn't as universal, that was dropped, and so Rangers in the 2024 are more universal. They're not tied to choice of environment or choice of enemy. Favored enemy as a concept exists, it's just a spell that you cast. So you don't specialize in goblins and kobolds or something. You don't specialize in tieflings and elves or whatever. It's a hunter's mark spell that is conveying the theme of you as a hunter. You have your mark and thwing, and you go from there. Or you bonk as well. So, would I agree that to have invisibility, there should be some semblance of nature to hide around? Like, can you duck behind a bush and that gives you the invisibility? Because I would agree that's not fitting with the design philosophy of 2024, where everything is more universally applicable at any point in time, or you have the penalty that you have to wait. You have to wait a day to swap out a spell or a cantrip or an ability or something else. So some of that flavor is gone to make everything more universally applicable. Also, hi Lamia, thank you for joining us. Were there any? Do you want me to look at any spells here to see if there is a, is there a big difference in a spell? Like here, with Acid Splash, we did see that this turned from evocation, or was it that, or was it? Yeah, and it was described as a sphere as well, with each creature instead of one or two. It was changed from Conjuration to Evocation. That doesn't break the game. But the damage itself, is it's the same. The wording has changed a little bit. Now, someone mentioned Silvery Barbs, which seems to be the bane of many D&D games. Let's see if they have Silvery Barbs as a basic spell here. No, Shillelagh, Silence, Silent Image, Simulacrum, Sleep. So no silvery barbs in the core book. Hi, Afterfov. So you don't need to worry about that, everyone. And remember, you can always tell a player, no, this spell is not available. Just because it's in a splat book doesn't mean that it's appropriate for your game. I don't have planar hopping, and I don't have extra dimensional spaces. I also don't have come back to life spells. And so whether it's in this core book or this core book, I don't allow those at my table. It could be printed in the core rulebook all anyone wants. Those just don't exist in my worlds. Silvery Barbs never bothered me. I figure it's a good way to get a player to willingly burn those spell slots. Speak with animals, speak with dead, speak with plants, spider climb, spirit guardian, spiritual weapon. Various summon spells. But you can see there's a lot more art in here as well. I don't know, have we gone a page without... so there's a page. I don't know if we've really ever gone a page without there being some kind of art. And I do like that. Now, everyone's taste in art is different based on mood or other things. But compared here, you can see that there's a lot more. And while like this is an action-packed scene, this is like this is nice sort of high fantasy style art. I like this. This is a battle. This is also in between downtime activities and the lead into combat. So I guess that's more the lead into combat here, because that was combative. Garbage. Who plays multiplanar games? Get out of here with that. Oh, this is something we can do as well. AC 12, 1 hit point, 5 feet, or fly 30. Blind sight, passive. Yep, so a little bat is going to be the same here. Although it doesn't have, this version doesn't have keen hearing, advantage on wisdom perception checks. So there we go. The bat has been nerfed, everyone. The bat has been nerfed. It lost echolocation and keen hearing. DQ, Wizards has absolutely earned that question, whether it's an honest one or it's one in jest. And they're not moving away from it, so... let's see. Black Bear. Bear. Come on, Bear. +1 initiative, 11 hit points. Or 11 AC, 19 hit points. Speed 30. Oh, look at that. Look at this. Its speed has been nerfed, except it also got a swim speed. Its dex did go up. So perception is up. It gained dark vision and has a higher passive. It lost keen smell. It also went to 2 rend attacks instead of bite and claw. Chris Cox says they're already using it and will be pushing it to embrace more in the future because his home table does it. Everyone must be doing it. Yep, I saw that. I saw that that verbiage. Sounded like a kid getting petting the dead bird in Dumb and Dumber. Black Bear now officially beast of choice for triathlon competitions. Yep. Sierra Echo, there we go. Ironically, the Iron Man competition, except Druids no longer have a note, even a throwaway note that this version did. Wear all the metal you want as a Druid in the 2024. It's not even a role play. Hey, think about it. It's not even a part of that now. So you can be the Iron Man Black Bear and win that triathlon. I think bears should have a higher run speed. Ever tried to outrun a bear? That would require me to go outside, and there are bears outside, said Sierra. Hope I never have to. They're just streamlining. It seems like a streamline of perception options. I mean, I don't know if I've ever ran a black bear and needed keen smell or keen hearing. These are good, but these are good notes though, because you're not going to use it all the time, but also because this edition is more of a general or a universal simplification. Well, how many people ever used keen hearing on the bat? Probably not many. No one's ever heard of it. No one's ever heard of keen hearing, and so why include it? Why include it over here? Good morning, Clicker. Let's see something with a little bit more bite to it. Let's look at this dire wolf. All right, Direwolf, AC 14, AC 14. 22 hit points on this Direwolf and 37 on the other. Initiative +2, so 12 here. Speed 50, speed 50, 17, 15, 15, 3, 12, 7, perception 5, stealth 4, so also perception and stealth, better perception, senses, passive perception 13, so better than that. They gave it dark vision, no languages, also challenge rating 1. Keen hearing and smell have also been dropped, so this apparently is not a thing. And pack tactics, the wolf has advantage on attack rolls against a creature if at least one of the wolf's allies is within 5 feet of the creature and isn't incapacitated. This also gets pack tactics. The wolf has advantage on an attack roll against a creature if at least one of the wolf's allies is within 5 feet of the creature and the ally doesn't have the incapacitated condition. So that's the same bite. Plus 5 to hit, plus 5 to hit. 2d6 plus 3, 1d10 plus 3. Piercing. And the target has the prone condition if it is huge or smaller. So that it's an automatic prone for the 2024 Direwolf. This one will bite, and then it causes a strength saving throw or be knocked prone. Not by how it was mechanically defined after FOV in the 2024 from 2014. And both are in at a challenge rating of 1, which that still seems right. It's yeah, that seems right. Well, there we go. Any spells you want me to compare real quick before we wrap this up? Also, Black Wolf, did you ask a question before? I'm sorry, I might have gotten very chatty. Let me see if I can scroll up. I want to see if I... Because Blue Joy had asked a question for some thoughts on something. Was it the easier to min-max? Oh, no, here it is. Would you say as a DM with this new modular character-friendly system, does it create the opportunity for a DM to make the adventure modular? As in, say a DM has a monster prepared, but the character mod their sets for the encounter. Would it be a thing where the DM can mod the monsters as well? Well, the DM can change whatever he or she wants, whether running out of a module or not. The flipping around of spells or different ability characteristics comes during downtime rests more often than not, it would seem. It's a DM can always change what comes ahead, of course. If the changes were more instantaneous, then that would be more egregious. Because there's some downtime, if they do some research, then they could be prepared for whatever, because they'll just change their spells or their ability outsets or whatever. A DM can always just, I don't know, pull a trick and do something, but then it feels like, all right, now it's an adversarial relationship, and we're constantly doing this little petty one-upmanship, because the DM can always adjust whatever's presented. The player has a more structured system of adjusting. So it just feels a little bit, I don't know, in that case it would feel like being a petty antagonist as a DM to do that, to try and offer a challenge to people who, baked into the system, also have extreme versatility for a lot of things. Like, I don't know, it'd be nice if a character couldn't do something. Is that possible? Can a character not do something? Because then you have to roleplay around it, or you have to find different ways to solve the problem, and that's part of the fun. Hopefully that answered that. If I missed anything else from you all, let me know, please. I always change monsters randomly within reason, so that way if your characters metagame and read the monster manual, they get surprised. When they argue, just answer them like James Earl Jones. Bane says also, actually, I found it funny that in Dungeon of the Mad Mage, they have bears in the dungeon where there's no light, but bears didn't have dark vision before, so they were basically blind. After Fall giving some sort of sassy whatever. What is that about? How about some spell reviews of things like Polymorph and Counterspell? I've changed the conditions of our agreement. Yeah, from that line. Hard for a player to shine when everyone else can do the same thing, says DQ. Giving players options is fun and fine. There's also a point where if you can do everything, where's... I don't know. Where's the adaptation? Where's the innovation and the risk of things? As for Counterspell, we can go to that real quick here. All right, third level abjuration. One reaction, which you take when you see a creature within 60 feet of you casting a spell. Reaction, which you take when you see a creature within 60 feet of you casting a spell. With verbal, somatic, or material components. So this specifies a little bit more than just any spell with a counter spell. 60 feet, somatic component, instantaneous. When you attempt to interrupt a creature, or you attempt to interrupt a creature in the process of casting a spell, the creature makes a Constitution saving throw. On a failed save, the spell dissipates with no effect, and the action, bonus action, or reaction used to cast it is wasted. If that spell was cast with a spell slot, the slot isn't expended. And then this says, you attempt to interrupt a creature in the process of casting a spell. If the creature is casting a spell of 3rd level or lower, the spell fails and has no effect. If it is casting a spell of 4th level or higher, make an ability check using your spellcasting ability. The DC equals 10 plus the spell's level. On a success, the creature's spell fails and has no effect. At higher levels, when you cast this spell using a spell slot of 4th level or higher, the interrupted spell has no effect if its level is less than or equal to the level of the spell slot that you used. So, this counter spell, this one is different because this is 1/3 level spell will negate any spell, a 9th level spell. And it puts the the onus here on the creature casting to make a con save. The 2014 version is a 3rd level. If it's 3rd level or lower, that's it. It's gone. But you need to check for if it's casting a 4th level or higher, then the caster needs to make an ability check to overcome. This also says, on a failed save, the spell dissipates with no effect, and the action, bonus action, or reaction used to cast it is wasted. If that spell was cast with a spell slot, the slot isn't expended. So this does preserve the caster's magical energy, but it wastes the action. This will waste the slot because the spell is cast and it fails and has no effect. Same if you're overcoming this on something higher. So there is a difference in counter spells. I guess in this regard, if you wanted to... Bersilas says, a counter spell, if you cast too much, you end up with no spell slots while the enemy retains theirs. Because, yeah, you're not consuming the enemy's spell slots, but you are consuming yours. So that is true. Now, you might say, yeah, but the spell is cast, so I wasted the turn. What else is the mage going to do? Stand there? Take a hit from the barbarian charging in? I suppose these both could exist in your game, but I would... I'd be careful and make sure that each are distinctly named. Why bother countering? So you don't get nuked from orbit by meteors or fireballs, or you have your tent flooded with poison gas or acid. It delays it. Yeah, it does. It delays the inevitable, so that you'll either win or you'll realize what's going on and you get out of there. Yeah, in that case, Bersilas, legendary resistance, they could ignore the call for the save. And so in that case, counterspelling the BBEG, presumably this would be baiting out. This is excellent legendary resistance bait. You cast Counterspell on my Revivify? Yes. What was the other one that you had a question on? It was Counterspell and what? I might have lost it here. Ah, Polymorph. All right, here's Polymorph. All right, Polymorph and Polymorph. Level 4 transmutation. 1 action, 60 feet, verbal somatic material, caterpillar cocoon. Hey, Alex, thank you. Hi. Concentration up to an hour. So the new one reads, you attempt to transform a creature that you can see within range into a beast. The target must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or shapeshift into a beast form for the duration. That form can be any beast you choose that has a challenge rating equal to or less than the target's, or the target's level if it doesn't have a challenge rating. The target's game statistics are replaced by the stat block of the chosen beast, but the target retains its alignment, personality, creature type, hit points, and hit point dice. See Appendix B for a sample beast. The target gains a number of temporary hit points equal to the hit points of the beast form. The spell ends early on the target if it has no temporary hit points left. The target is limited in the actions it can perform by the anatomy of its new form, and it can't speak or cast spells. The target's gear melds into the new form. The creature can't use or otherwise benefit from any of that equipment. Polymorph into 2014. This spell transforms a creature that you can see within range into a new form. An unwilling creature must make a wisdom saving throw to avoid the effect. A shape changer automatically succeeds on this saving throw. All right, so it still requires a wisdom saving throw. The new version doesn't have the automatic success. The transformation lasts for the duration or until the target drops to 0 hit points or dies. The new form can be any beast whose challenge rating is equal to or less than the target's, or the target's level if it doesn't have a challenge rating. The target's game statistics, including mental ability scores, are replaced by the statistics of the chosen beast. It retains its alignment and personality. That seems to be the same. The target assumes the hit points of its new form. When it reverts to its normal form, the creature returns to the number of hit points it had before it transformed. If it reverts as a result of dropping to 0 hit points, any excess damage carries over to its normal form. As long as the excess damage doesn't reduce the creature's normal form to 0 hit points, it isn't knocked unconscious. The creature is limited in the actions it can perform by the nature of its new form, and it can't speak, cast spells, or take any other action that requires hands or speech. The target's gear melds into the new form. The creature can't activate, use, wield, or otherwise benefit from any of its equipment. That part's the same. So there's that juicy middle part about hit points and everything. Target gain. All right, so it turns, you turn someone into a frog. They get the stat block of the frog, and they gain a number of temps equal to the hit points of the beast form. So if a frog has 1 hit point, it would have 1 temp and 1 hit point. The spell ends if the temporary hit points are gone. Okay, and then the target assumes the hit points of the new form when it reverts to its normal. All right, hang on. So transformation lasts a duration. Target assumes the hit points. When it reverts, the creature returns to the number of hit points it had before it transformed. If it reverts as a result of dropping to 0, any excess carries over to the normal form. It would seem... Well, it seems that Polymorph, the 2024 Polymorph, would give you a free hit, because as a frog, you would have like 1 hit point and you have 1 temp. So, if you were hit by a sword, the spell ends and you just revert to your normal form. So the frog took the hit. In the 2014 version, damage would carry over from your frog form into your normal hit point pool. That seems to be the difference. Polymorph is kind of like a substitute in Pokemon. Except it's not eating your hit points. So there is a slight change in that Polymorph kind of gives you a free hit, I guess. But you don't lose hit points after you're knocked out of your imposed beast form. But this can afflict shape changers. So there's some differences there, Maladroit.